Imagine a world where the safety of your home is no longer guaranteed, where every shadow hides a potential predator, and locking your doors feels meaningless. In the mid-1980s, Los Angeles was gripped by such a nightmare. This is the story of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, a man whose reign of terror changed the lives of countless families and the psyche of an entire city. Who is he? How did he evade justice for so long? And what finally brought him down? Stay with us as we uncover one of the most chilling chapters in American criminal history. Born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas, Richard Ramirez was the youngest of 5 children in a working-class family. His early life was marred by hardship. His father, a former policeman, struggled with anger issues, often directing his frustrations toward his family. As a child, Richard sought refuge from his tumultuous home life by spending time with his older cousin Miguel, a Vietnam War veteran. But Miguel was far from a positive influence. He exposed young Richard to graphic photos of violence, including images of torture and mutilation he claimed to have inflicted during the war. Imagine the impact on a young, impressionable mind. For Richard, these images weren't just horrifying, they were lessons. At 13, Richard witnessed Miguel shoot his wife in the face during an argument. This event deeply traumatized him and marked a turning point in his descent into darkness. As Richard grew older, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He developed a fascination with Satanism, often quoting satanic texts and drawing pentagrams. He dropped out of high school, turned to burglary to support his drug addiction, and spent time in juvenile detention. It was during these years that Richard honed the skills that would later make him a terrifying predator: stealth, patience, and the ability to strike without warning. In June 1984, Richard Ramirez committed his first known murder. Jenny Vincow, a 79-year-old widow, was found brutally stabbed in her Los Angeles apartment. Her throat was slashed so deeply that she was nearly decapitated. For the police, this was a shocking and isolated case. For Richard Ramirez, it was the start of a terrifying spree. By 1985, Ramirez had transformed into the Night Stalker, a name that would haunt Los Angeles for decades. His attacks were random and ruthless, targeting men, women, and children of all ages and background. One night, he might kill a single mother in her apartment. The next, he'd terrorized an entire family, leaving behind satanic symbols and messages. His unpredictability was his most terrifying trait. No one knew where he'd strike next, or who his next victim would be. Ramirez was meticulous in his methods. He wore gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints, and carried a toolkit of weapons, including knives, guns, and hammers. But his brutality wasn't limited to murder. He often tortured his victims psychologically, forcing them to swear to Satan as he inflicted unimaginable pain. Richard Ramirez was unique among serial killers. He didn't fit the typical profile. He didn't have a specific type of victim. This randomness made him even more dangerous. His actions were driven by a blend of anger, a desire for control, and a deep belief in his connection to Satan. As Ramirez's attacks continued, fear spread like wildfire. Home security systems became a booming business, and gun sales skyrocketed. News outlets sensationalized the case, dubbing him the Night Stalker. Los Angeles was no longer a city of angels. It was a city under siege. The police worked tirelessly to catch him, but Ramirez was clever. He stole cars to avoid detection and never stayed in one place for long. For months, it seemed like he was always one step ahead. In July 1985, investigators found a crucial piece of evidence, a shoe print from an Avius sneaker left at one of the crime scenes. This rare shoe became a key link across multiple murders. But it wasn't just his carelessness that would lead to his downfall, it was the bravery of his victims. In one attack, a young woman survived and provided a detailed description of her attacker. Another victim managed to note part of the license plate of his getaway car. These pieces of the puzzle finally gave police a lead. On August 30, 1985, Richard Ramirez walked into a convenience store in East Los Angeles. Unbeknownst to him, his face was now plastered on the front page of every newspaper. A group of customers recognized him instantly. Chaos erupted as Ramirez fled on foot, but the community wasn't about to let him escape. Residents chased Ramirez through the streets, eventually capturing him and beating him until police arrived. After months of terror, the Night Stalker was finally in custody. Richard Ramirez's trial began in 1988 and lasted over a year. His courtroom antics, flashing pentagrams, laughing during testimonies, and showing no remorse, shocked the nation. For Ramirez, the trial was a stage. For his victims' families, it was a chance for justice. Ramirez was convicted of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. The judge sentenced him to death, stating that his deeds showed cruelty, callousness, and viciousness beyond any human understanding. Richard Ramirez remained on death row until his death from cancer in 2013. He spent his final years receiving fan mail from people fascinated by his infamy. Even in death, Ramirez left a legacy of fear and fascination, a reminder of how evil can hide behind a charming smile and a soft voice. The Night Stalker's crimes forever changed Los Angeles. His ability to strike fear into a city of millions remains unparalleled, but his story is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The survivors who fought back, the detectives who worked tirelessly, and the communities that refused to let him win. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mind of a monster. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next video.